From the Schmoes Know Network Studios in Los Angeles, California, it's time for Meet the Movie Press. And now, here's your host, the editor-in-chief of schmoesknow.com, Mark Reilly, and from The Wrap, Jeff Snyder.
Well, hello, Schmoville. Happy Halloween.
That's right. Happy Halloween, boys and ghouls.
Oh, cool. I don't think we can do it. I don't know if they can hear us, Jeff.
No, we have to take these off.
Should we take these off?
Let's.
Okay, hold on a minute. Everyone.
That's right. I bet you were wondering who is who, weren't you? They were wondering who was who on
Probably.
On that one. Yeah.
Now, without that, I'm just rocking my bathroom, and I'm CEO, bitch.
Very good costume. Hello, Schmoville. Welcome to another scary edition of Meet the Movie Press. I am Mark Reilly, editor-in-chief of schmoesknow.com.
And I'm Jeff Snyder, film reporter for The Wrap.
And yes, as you could see by that ridiculous opening, it is Halloween.
Thank God.
Thank God, right?
One of my favorite holidays, and not just because my dad's in the candy business and to put me through college.
Oh, there you go. I mean, this is your. Do you have any younger brothers that are going to go through college off of today?
No, they already did. I've got
Okay.
two younger brothers. You know what? Did you know that Halloween, it's actually third in terms of holidays as far as candy goes? Number one is Easter. And number two is
Easter.
Christmas.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't
Halloween
make
is
sense.
3, even though everyone's handing out candy. Go figure.
Oh, that's interesting and weird, but it's Halloween, so who cares? They're going to get a lot of candy today. I'm going to get a lot of candy. Are you going trick or treating?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. I'm not asking for candy, though.
Okay, good.
I'm just like, give me all the pills in your house.
That's awesome, and I am going to be following you.
Okay,
So
sounds good.
Okay,
Sounds good. We have a very special guest today.
I know, guys. I'm very excited.
We're gonna have
for
him on in a
this.
few minutes.
Yes, we are. One of my favorite horror websites ever. I go there just for the horror news because they know how to do it, and that's shocktillyoudrop.com.
I
right?
love it.
You love it.
Absolutely. It's an essential.
Yes, and you look like you had something else to say before that, or should we
No,
just...
I was just going to say, we've got it's the Dark Prince, Ryan Turek.
That's
Rotten
right.
Ryan Turek.
I say we just get right to it. It's Halloween. Let's just talk horror and horror news and Meet the Movie Press. We have Ryan Turek, managing editor of Shock Till You Drop. Come on in, Ryan.
All right.
You can't hear it, Ryan, but you are getting canned applause.
Nice.
Canned applause. That is so amazing here. And can you hear?
I can. Thank
How
you.
are you, sir?
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you.
Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. My fellow horror fan and friend over here.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how I met him, is just through the horror channels.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did we actually first meet?
I think we just met at a screening, and then you were like, I'm a big horror fan. And I was like, so am I. And then we just
Absolutely.
started doing-
I know we were both at the Captivity premiere, which is it was probably the creepiest premiere I've ever been to. Do you remember that? You were there.
Yes, is that the Suicide Girls after
Yeah,
party?
that was like amazing.
Yeah, I got whipped a few times.
There should be more
jeez.
premiere parties like that one.
Yeah, what was it? After Dark Films thought it was a good idea to hire the Suicide Girls and a bunch of dominatrixes to basically lure us press guys in and whomever else was at the premiere, and then they subsequently whipped them and put on shows.
We go back at least that far. I know that much.
You know what?
Wow.
That's what's missing from today's horror movies is that the showmanship.
Yes. say what you will about Courtney Solomon, but
That's awesome. Then I'm in good company because I am a huge horror fan. I mean, not a lot of people in Schmoville know that. My favorite Halloween movie of all time is Halloween, the original.
Yeah.
And real quick,
And
what's your-
yet you wore a Rob Zombie Halloween mask.
you know what?
I had to call you out.
I know. Yeah, and I knew you would because damn it, I looked for the original and I couldn't find it, and I wanted I actually did an entrance for this trivia contest we had on the main show, and it was the Rob Zombie one, and I was like so ashamed of myself, but people got it. You know, they're like, okay, you're Michael Myers. We get it.
I love that you called
have to.
Yeah, no,
Amazing.
But you know what? Who's to blame for that? You can't find the original Michael Myers mask, so it's about accessibility.
it really
You
is.
have to meet that kid on the corner selling it like crack.
I bought one in high school, and it was expensive, I remember. It was like $45.
Yeah. God, I think that outfit cost me like $70. It was ridiculous.
You
Yeah.
hear that, kids? To
Oh,
be
yeah,
an
you
original
got
Michael
the suit.
Myers, it's going to cost you at least $100.
Yeah, it will. So, Ryan, what's your favorite Halloween horror or just horror movie in general?
My favorite horror movie in general is Fright Night, the original Fright Night.
Wow.
by Tom Holland.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just watched that. I just
Yeah.
watched
I mean,
that
like,
the other
it's
night.
not-
It was so great.
It's not the best, but it's my favorite.
It's got a charm to it that I really enjoy.
It was like one of the first horror comedies. It sent up the kind of Hammer heyday, Universal classic movie monsters. It threw a nice little twist on it. Everybody identified with the boy next door, Charlie Brewster, and Jerry Dandridge rocked an awesome sweater in that movie. So it's a really fun movie.
That's how you know it was the 80s.
Yeah, and that's how he got invited into the house, was that sweater.
Yeah.
It was like, exactly. Oh, you're wearing a sweater. Come on in. No, don't do it. Well, that's awesome. So, Ryan, you are managing editor of one of the best horror websites out there, in my opinion, and that is shocktillyoudrop.com. How did you start there? What is it? Your love of horror that got you there? Or?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I think a lot of us, we were balancing day jobs with writing online.
Yeah.
And, I was submitting. Initially, I began over at a website called creaturecorner.com, which was a Chud affiliate.
Oh, yeah.
And started there, and then worked at Fangoria magazine for a bit. Did a little bit of writing for Rue Morgue magazine, and then comingsoon.net, somewhere around 2007, late 2006, early 2007. Comingsoon.net decided that they wanted a horror offshoot.
Okay.
And they kind of put out a call on their homepage. I sent in the resume, and then 5 hours later, Mirko, who runs Coming Soon, was like, "All right, you got it."
Nice.
Perfect. So from the ground up, I was there from the ground up. The site didn't exist. Immediately, I started having conversations about how it would look, what it would be called. The name was already locked in place, but they took my suggestions anyway. Good. And then we just hit the ground running, and then we launched April 2007.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds about right, because I remember working in production, and I would try to show like I was busy, and so I'd have the computer in front of me, the bosses would be over there, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm working." Shocktillyoudrop.com. Yeah. I mean, I would do this with a lot of sites, and was then reading Ain't It Cool News when Jeff was there. It's all coming full circle for me, Schmoville.
You're giving me flashbacks of when I used to have a day job, and then I would be reading Ain't It Cool or Coming Soon or Dark Horizons, and the boss would walk by, he's like, "Turn that off. Close it." God damn it.
I know, it's like, is that work? Sorta.
Yeah.
Well, I go to Shock almost every day, I would say. I get tipped a lot of horror stuff, and then when I Google it to see if it's already out there, either these guys have written about it or Bloody Disgusting has. Like, the horror blogs are on top of their SHIT.
Yeah.
We try.
They really are. And I mean, usually, Ryan, what we do on this show is we talk about the major news that's out there, but since this is a Halloween themed episode, we want to get into that. But we have to touch, and I want to get your opinion as a horror managing editor of a horror website. Marvel basically just dropped the biggest bomb of news this past week on a Tuesday. Their full lineup. What are your thoughts, Jeff? Ryan, I'd like to hear, because I've talked ad nauseum about it on Schmoes Know main show.
You start. Build up a little momentum.
Yeah.
I start?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, I mean, I grew up on comic books, so it was a healthy balance of horror movies and comics. This is just amazing to me.
Yeah.
They did it right, where DC took a very kind of clinical, cold, sterile way of just going, "Hey, by the way, here's all the movies we got coming out for the next 5 to 10 years.
To their shareholders.
Marvel, to their shareholders. Marvel and Kevin Feige over there, they know how to put on a show.
Yeah.
They rented out the Capitan. Well, probably not rented. They probably went, "Here you go." They took out the Capitan. They brought everybody out, and and they even had fun with it. When I was like following the news, I was running the Bloodcast, and I was kind of like checking out Twitter, and I see all of you guys reporting in, and it goes, Captain America, what was it, Serpent Society?
Serpent Society.
And I kind of sat there and I was like, all right. But then I kind of had to black out and then check into the news later on, and I went, wait a minute, Civil War? When did this happen? What about Serpent Society? What is that? But I think it's fantastic. They've got a great, I think it's great that they're bringing Captain Marvel. I like that the Avengers is going to get split into 2. That's like the 3rd one. That was their plan.
Yeah.
Black Panther's amazing. And I love that they put out concept art already.
I know.
Of his costume. And it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
It's all good. I mean, I'm really looking forward to the Captain America stuff, because I think Winter Soldier was fantastic this year.
It's one of my favorite superhero movies.
Hands down, yeah. It's really fantastic. And the clashing and everything that they got going on. I mean, when I kind of went back into comic books after I went through my I'm broke and I can't buy comics through college phase.
Oh yeah, me too.
And this was rather recent. I picked up with Civil War, and that's what got me back into comic books. And
nice.
To see that they're going to put it on the screen in their own way,
Right.
That'll be fantastic.
Right.
As someone who is normally wary of comic book movies, I thought it was a great event.
Yeah.
And it did really highlight the difference between Marvel and DC, as you said, in terms of the approach. I appreciated that Kevin and there was a sense of humor to the presentation, and I'm fine with that Serpent Society joke. But it's like, dude, I could have sent a news blast about that. I feel like the Civil War reveal should have come a little bit sooner. It was like 15 or 20 minutes later. Yeah. I definitely could have filed a blast.
Didn't
already.
someone have to retract? I saw someone posted an article the other day, and it was like, what was Serpent Society? What was the whole joke behind that? And we were very sorry for reporting on that in the first place.
Right. Yeah, but it's like, he said it. You're reporting on what happened.
Yeah,
so.
I was kind of reporting on it live from the Schmoes, which, by the way, guys, out there in Schmoville, if you want to go to schmozno.com and or go to Schmozno main channel, which is YouTube/schmozno, there's great footage that Mr. Ellis took on his iPhone 6.
Plus.
A Plus, right.
The guy behind him couldn't see a thing.
That's right. And it was the announcement of Black Panther. He's got the footage of Downey and Chris Evans talking kind of in character, and then they brought out Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, which was just it's a great video, guys. Check it out.
I'm a big fan of that casting.
Me too.
It's the right call.
Me too.
I'm a big fan of rolling out Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans onto the stage for this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
It reminds me of when New Line decided to do Freddy versus Jason, and they had this kind of big boxing match.
Yeah.
Like before big boxing matches, they had the guys come out and they they showboat and they take their weights and stuff. That's what this kind of showmanship. You don't get that much. Not too many people do that these days.
Yeah, it's just fun for the fans, and especially the Marvel movies that are doing so well at the box office, doing so well for the fans and the critics even. This was a perfect event. And to go back to your point,
Robert Downey Jr. got paid $10 million and 10% of the concession stand.
And then he went home in a Brinks truck.
He had to go to the DMV afterwards. Did you see that?
No, he did.
No, somebody took a photo. It was like after his big announcement, he had to go right to the Santa Monica DMV to go renew his license. And then he tweeted about it. He was like, "Here I am,"
He's like, "Don't you know me? I'm Iron Man, bitch."
Sorry to interrupt. What were you saying? Which point?
I know. It's so funny that you say about the Serpent Society because I was editing because the guys were at the event. And I was writing up the article, and then, I had Serpent Society, and I hit publish, and then I see right away that it was Civil War, and I went, and I just kind of changed it before anybody, I think, saw it.
Sure.
But, so...
We know everybody saw it.
Yeah, everybody saw it.
But, no, it's fine to make that joke, Kevin. It's just like, I think the Civil War reveal need to be a little bit earlier, because you left people hanging a little bit.
And people want Serpent Society.
Yeah.
Okay? Is that part 4?
It was smart because it put it on everyone's radar. People started thinking about it.
Yeah. Which I'm not a Serpent Society.
I don't know.
I'm not knowledgeable.
I was gonna say Kevin doing that kind of reminded me of like when we try to come up with bad April Fool's jokes,
right?
And sometimes they get taken very seriously, and then people start to think about them. We did one for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, about like 10 years ago. And I said that Ryan Phillippe was going to be the new Leatherface. This was before they remade it. Empire Magazine ran that as legit. And then I got a phone call from Phillippe's agent going, "Yeah, you need to try to clean that up. You need to write an article." I was like, "Okay." It was great. It was really fun.
And did you hear the recent news though about Leatherface?
I've heard stuff.
Yeah, Renee Zellweger. I was sorry. Low blow.
Jeez.
My God, you got me, though. I was like sitting there going, but Zellweger was already in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
It's the continuity.
Texas Chainsaw, the beginning or something.
Next Generation.
Next Generation.
They played that. I went to McConaughey's American Cinematheque Award thing last week, and they had a clip.
Oh my God, that's
it
amazing.
was pretty epic.
Yes.
That's
people
amazing.
were like, "What is this from?" And I'm like the horror fan sitting like, "I know exactly what this is from."
I love when those skeletons come out of the closet.
Oh, they're there. They're lurking.
Good.
They seem to always start in horror. Like Jennifer Aniston
Brad
in Leprechaun.
Pitt, Tom Hanks.
Brad Pitt, Tom Hanks. Yeah, Tom Hanks. What was he in?
He Knows You're Alone, I think.
He Knows You're
This
Alone.
guy's so good.
Well, let's just do it. It's Halloween. Let's get right to the Halloween discussion. But I want to first start. Ryan, we do this every week with a hopeful news break. That's right, folks. Every Wednesday, you can go to Meet the Movie Press on the Schmozo Network Facebook page, and you can drop in your hopeful news break. Guys, take into consideration what's out there in the news. There's something might be break. I mean, the most logical example is that many people wanted a Black Panther movie. They would drop this in the hopeful news break. They go, I want Black Panther. I want Marvel to announce that. And guess what? It happened.
You got it all. You got that and more.
You got that and more. And I had a lot of Captain Marvel. They wanted a lot of Captain Marvel announcements. So you got that as well. You got Doctor Strange as well. You got the possible casting maybe happening. We can maybe talk about that because Derrickson started in horror. Yeah. But this is just one that I'm going to read, which I like because I think it'll open up a nice conversation. William Shockley writes, all remakes and their sequels are canceled. He wants no Rob Zombie Halloween sequel, no Hellraiser remake, no Elm Street remakes or sequel, no Friday the 13th remake. New original ideas will now be attempted by Hollywood. I love that. William Shockley, that is a perfect hopeful news break for this edition.
Very hopeful.
Yeah, it's out of left field hopeful, sure. But I think it brings up a good topic that I want to start with, which is these horror remakes of these iconic slashers. Now, do you guys know, you were in the trenches, you're in the trenches. I actually ran an article that we had a source saying that they're doing a Halloween, the next chapter, which I don't know what that means.
Yeah, how many chapters are there? It's a long book.
It just sounds like a soft reboot. You know what I mean? It's like just kind of throwing in the next chapter. But, then I've heard that Scout Taylor Compton is going to be coming back as Laurie Strode.
Don't ever listen to Scout. And Scout, I love you. I really do. But don't ever listen to Scout when it comes to Halloween news. Because she keeps telling the world that Takeshi Shimizu's 7500, which she stars in, keeps coming out in October.
Oh, it'll be out.
But this has been like the last 3 Octobers.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So with these remakes and everything, what are you guys hearing as far as, because it seems like the remakes, like I know Rob Zombie, he butchered my all-time favorite horror movie, and then they made a sequel and I couldn't even, it was unwatchable to me. So that franchise died. Friday the 13th reboot kind of, came and went.
Friday the 13th is coming back.
It's coming.
And, I'll put it this way. They didn't include that in the Interstellar deal for no reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
but they have like a ticking clock going because it needs to be in theaters sometime next year. It needs to be in theaters and made by the end of 2015.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
They lose the rights,
and they lose the rights.
That's
and it goes
Paramount.
back to it goes back to New Line.
From what I understand, the studio they're just running all these tests to see whether they can do found footage 3D.
That's right. That it is going to be a found footage. That's right. I remember that.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Boy, that
they may choose to go 3D, and they're like, we just can't figure out how to do a found footage.
I know a way. I know a way that they could do a found footage Friday the 13th, and you guys can steal this, whatever. Yeah. So basically, if you want to reboot Friday the 13th, and you want to do the Jason as a kid kind of story with Mother Voorhees, so basically the entire story is told from the various points of view of the kids at camp.
Mm-hmm.
From their cell phones and all of this stuff, doing camp blogs and all this other stuff. It sounds like an awful idea. I know horror fans, I'm sorry. But this is the only feasible way that I could see this actually happening as found footage. And then you focus on the one girl who's like doing a video blog of her entire summer camp experience. Kids start dying. You find out it's Mother Voorhees. But at the entire time, on the fringe, you've got this weird, deformed kid that's kind of always popping in the frame and hanging out. And then you get his, you see his drowning and all that other nonsense. That's the only way I could see them doing that.
That's a great. I love that idea. I think it even.
You don't have to.
No. I actually do, because you know what I like about it is it goes because again, I am a huge Friday 13th fan. Just the iconic mask, the ridiculous nature of it. The soundtrack, part 6 is my favorite, and it's like Frankenstein rising from the grave because he's electrocuted and becomes super zombie. Yeah. But that's my favorite just because of its ridiculous kills and just
it's tongue in cheek. There's a tongue in cheek
and it's pretty well acted for a Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah.
But I just like that idea because it kind of harkens back to the original, which is the killer is the mother.
Right.
And but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
I think they're doing found footage, like you get a glimpse of the hockey mask, and that's about it.
This will never happen in a million years, but I'd like to see all these different studios team up and do like a slasher universe
Yeah.
and get Freddy, Jason, Michael, all these people, Candyman's, Chucky.
It's
whatever.
it's a shared universe world we're living in now.
Throw it in all
I
in a
don't
pot.
see. I mean, Universal's going to do it with their monsters. We got Marvel. We got DC. Why not?
Yeah.
But I guess I would
epic.
send them all to New Line. Just let New Line do it, right? I mean, because it's the house that Freddy built.
Right.
So why not?
Give them one house. But yeah, I mean, like in terms of Friday the 13th, I think they've got, like I said, it's supposed to be coming out like November 13th, sometime 2015, whatever. And they've got to figure this out. David Bruckner is the attached director.
Yep.
And
I really liked his VHS.
short. Yeah.
Yes,
And
love
he also did some great work in The Signal too. And but they've got now close to a year to knock this out. I know a lot of fans are like, how can they do that? And you got to remember though that these are
horror
cheap
movie.
and easy, and you can get them done super fast.
Absolutely. And I would love to see another Friday the 13th movie. I don't know how I feel about the found footage because it's been done to death.
Yeah.
I don't think you need it for that.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? Jeff, help me. Trick, treats, yeah, whatever.
Gimmick.
Well, thank you, Ryan.
I just don't. I
Suck up.
listen. Out of all of the franchises, I'll keep going back to Friday the 13th. I'll keep watching them as long as they keep churning them out.
I will
because they
too.
can never get as bad as where the Halloween series has turned.
That's true.
Yeah, and so
and Texas Chainsaw.
Texas that Chainsaw Massacre, or what was it? No, Texas
Chainsaw 3D.
I'd love a real
Without the massacre.
another Freddy movie, because that was not the way to go out.
That
That
was on
last
AMC
one.
the other day, and I was watching it, and I was like, boy, this is bad. There's so many problems with that movie, and one of the problems, not only is Jackie Earle Haley not imposing at all, he's super short, but he mumbles. You see his makeup, and I just sat through a Nightmare on Elm Street marathon at Cinefamily here in Los Angeles, and watching Jackie Earle Haley stalk one of the girls. He just mumbles. He never moves his lips, so he's just like, "I'm gonna come after you, man."
because
It's
it's
like,
like
okay, cool.
shut.
Yeah. It's just really not creepy.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I watched Never Sleep Again, the documentary on Nightmare on Elm Street last night.
Oh, wow.
Almost just like preparation for this, and because
I'm glad you did homework.
I did, and it really broke down each movie and how you see the rise of England's Freddy Krueger, like from like menacing in the first one to then the the gay innuendos in part 2 to Dream Warriors shattering box office records and then off and running, and then he becomes the stand-up comedian that we know and love. But how do we get back to especially we've talked about 3, almost 4 of the most iconic horror movie franchises: Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Friday the 13th,
Yep.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Do we reboot the hell out of these things? Do we keep remaking them, or can these exist as like James Bond movies?
Right? Do they have to be in perpetuity?
Yeah. Do they have to be continuity? I mean,
Until we get new creatures or slashers or something.
And that's the thing. You can't. It's kind of like the Universal classic movie monsters, because what happened is Universal did their canon, and then Hammer came along and rebooted all of those monsters in color, with blood, with babes. And then the new horror kind of came in with The Exorcist, and Hammer, segued out. And then new horror brought into the fold these new boogeymen, these hardcore boogeymen.
Yeah, like the slasher genre.
And
like,
we're kind of, the horror is moving on from them. And I think we're seeing that in box office, we're seeing that in in the criticism, we're seeing all of that happen. And it's time to, I hate to say this, but it's kind of time to put them all to bed and start refocusing. The one character I do want to say that I would love to see come back, though, is Candyman.
yes.
No one is taking advantage of the fact that Candyman speaks about race and the economy and a housing crisis, all of these things that can be all of these things that can be tapped into. And I think honestly, Candyman's just wrapped up in a lot of rights nonsense.
Okay, that's what it usually is.
Yeah, but I would love, as much as I love all these boogeymen, I think it's time to put them to bed and start, being a little bit more progressive, transcend all of this nonsense, and move on and find new guys, like you said, find new boogeymen or find new things to terrify us.
Right, because the last one is really just Jigsaw. That's all we've had.
Jigsaw was, I always had this theory. I thought Jigsaw and the Saw franchise was a new generation's, Saw was a new generation's Nightmare on Elm Street. Final Destination was a new generation's Friday the 13th. You know, because what was Final Destination? It was just all about the kills. You just went in for the inventive kills.
Yeah.
Saw brought into the fold a boogeyman that had something to say, had inventive
Personality,
kills, personality, and all of that. And we got there somewhat with like, you know, we tried to appropriate like Samara and the Ring franchise, but that can only last so long. But now we're starting to see that come back too.
Yeah, and I just feel like all the horror movies now are supernatural based. You know, we got Ouija that just came out. We're having another Paranormal Activity that's going to come out. We had Annabelle. We have Conjuring 2 coming out. You know, can we? I would to expand on your point as a writer. I would love to see just original, just to do something original, more of that, which horror actually has, I feel, that going for it. You could throw in a good new original idea, and if it pops like Paranormal Activity or Saw, then you have a new franchise.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, I loved. I mean, are we calling Cheap Thrills horror?
Or Fringe.
What about like It Follows?
Yes,
That was
It
good.
Follows is fantastic.
Yeah,
That's
seen
a
that.
genuinely cool horror movie. However, in terms of like franchise, you can't really pin it on something.
Sure,
What you
sure.
could do
I
is
see
turn
what
it
you
into
mean.
something Final Destination-esque or Ring-esque. There's no tangible threat there. You know.
What are some of like the recent horror movies that you've really been impressed by and that have stood out?
I really liked. We were discussing this earlier. Starry Eyes.
Okay.
Which is coming out in November.
I need to start taking notes.
The Babadook,
Okay.
which I honestly think does have like franchise quality if someone like decided to run with that. And not that I would want to, but Babadook was great. Only Lovers Left Alive, but again, that's not something that's, you know, straight horror.
Yeah.
It Follows. There's a lot of festival stuff. That's the thing. It's like a lot of the stuff that I love and have gravitated towards has been either on VOD or on the festival circuit. It's never been a wide release.
Yeah.
And that's a real state of, you know, it's a sad state of affairs when the studio system can't find a big horror movie anymore. You know, because we look at everything last year. What do you have? You got I, Frankenstein, you've got Dracula Untold, you've got Ouija, Annabelle, but that was going to be a surefire hit because the doll is so great.
Yeah.
It's been the Blumhouse stuff. It's been Sinister and Insidious and
Yeah.
Yeah, which is going back to it all kind of supernatural. Like I'm looking for that. I'm looking for because one of my favorite scripts actually is the original Halloween. I know I'm giving Halloween a lot of credit, but just how it was called. There was never Michael Myers was mentioned by characters, but the character was written as the Shape.
Shape, right.
And that's what was so great about that movie. Watching it again a few nights ago, just those images and you know seeing him come out of the shadows, like where is our next boogeyman?
Yeah, it's I know myself and some of our contemporaries, you know, have written editorials about this, but I would love to see the return of the slasher.
Yes,
you know, I would
that's
love
my
to
point.
see like a cool iconic slasher. There was a great film that came out this fall called I wouldn't say great, but it's a good film and an interesting film called The Town of Dreaded Sundown.
yes, that's what I was waiting to chime in with.
Yeah, it's a remake of a 70s film.
Yeah, which I love.
yeah,
and
and-
I've heard a different spin on it. Keep going.
It's cool. It's a meta horror film.
Yes,
You
yes,
know,
that's
the
what I hear.
original Charles Bernstein film exists within this universe, and it's just basically about a girl who's got kind of a weird past, and then someone is kind of recreating the deaths, but they take on the same visage. It's like the baghead.
Yeah.
You know, the
And the
Canadian
movie
tuxedo.
exists within the world of this
Right.
this town. That's what the town is famous for in the movie.
Yeah.
And and what's interesting is, excuse me, the killer is recreating the kills, but he's doing it in super visceral ways and really hyper violent ways. But under the direction of Alfonso Gomez-Reyon, who's best known for like a lot of his work on Glee and American Horror Story.
Wow.
He brings a really potent visual style to it. It's a
Yep.
really aggressive.
It's a confident
visual style.
debut.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
really
very
good.
impressed. I'm not a big fan, and I used to work for Blumhouse briefly. Not a big fan of their output, most of it. This was
Me
one
neither.
of the best things that they've done
Yeah.
as a company.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You might not be satisfied entirely by the ending. I know a lot of people were kind of like, well, that was a little weak, but everything that came before, it's fantastic.
Okay.
You know, you could do something with that. And I feel like I'd love to see some more slasher stuff. And I hope movies, I haven't seen No Good Deed.
Yeah, I
but
haven't either.
was that like a home invasion? Like, is he just a creeper? Is that what his deal is?
Yeah, it was disappointing.
Yeah,
and
but stuff like that is a stepping stone to get us closer to a slasher film.
Sure.
You know, the fact that those kind of psychological thrillers or creeper thrillers, as I'm calling them, those will get us back to the masked killer realm, I think.
So I'm wondering that there was something that I heard from a very reliable source. This was a while ago, and the reason I bring it up is because it's so funny. I have slow days on the site, and this story keeps popping up in the top 5.
Gotta love those stories, don't you?
Yeah, and it's that we did a report that there's going to be a Saw 8.
Yeah.
Have you heard this?
Yeah, here's the thing. I talked to Mark Berg and Oren Kulis 2 weeks ago from Twisted Pictures, one of the producers, and our conversation began like this. We were kind of conversing about stuff. We were talking about the 10th anniversary of Saw. We were talking about...
Which made me think it's happening.
Some of the other... we were talking... Well, that's what I mean. Immediately when Lionsgate put out that press release saying we're going to re-release, I was like, okay, you're just testing the waters to feel if the popularity is still there.
Yes.
They were talking about some of the other producers who have been on Saw, and they're like, oh yeah, he'll be back. And I was like, oh, okay. So that kind of informed my conversation. Oren was a lot more animated talking about the potential of a new Saw, but when it tossed to Mark was just like, we'll see what happens. We'll see. Let's not get too excited about it. However, reading between the lines, which we have to do sometimes, after talking to Mark and Oren, I jumped over to James and Lee, and when I spoke to James and Lee, they kind of gave me the, maybe we'll do something. So I have a sneaking suspicion if Saw does well in its re-release, if everybody's schedule frees up, if they have a really great idea, we might in, 2 years' time, 3 years' time, see all of them come back together for some either reboot or sequel, or what's a name for like a sequel reboot where it's like they're introducing a new character,
Soft
but it's like
reboot.
part of something. Yeah, we need like classifications. But yeah, we might see something new.
Yeah. Sorry, JT. What's
I feel like the good word would be a reimagining.
Reimagining.
Yeah,
but it's like it's a next chapter that it kind of goes back to the original. But instead of having Jigsaw, you've got like Cary Elwes carrying the Jigsaw's good name or whatever.
Right. That would be cool.
He's available.
He's available. The great thing I loved about this Lionsgate presentation of Saw is Cary Elwes he sent in a video greeting, and he was like, hey, everybody. He's like, it was great to be part of the first movie. We all know that he was in one of the sequels, too.
Right.
That is so funny.
It was fun.
No, I lost. I mean, with Saw 8, I don't know. Probably will be a reboot or maybe in the continuity. But
do you think that there's popularity there still?
I'm the worst person to ask because I gave up after Saw 2. I'm
going to say no as long as there's a number on the end.
Yeah. Because I'm paying attention to what stories get traffic and what people are talking about.
Yeah.
The stories that we broke about Saw a couple weeks ago, they did okay. And I was like, ooh, no one really cares? Yeah. However, you talk about Michael Myers or Leatherface.
I think it's because once you get up to 8 or 9, you start to check out.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can. And I mean, that's what has happened with all those iconic slasher
Children
movies.
of the Corn, man. They got up there too. And after 6 or 7, I was like, okay, I get it.
Now they're adults of the Corn. It's like,
Don't, dude, that's coming soon.
Orphans of the Corn.
Orphans of the Corn.
I have a bunch more questions for you.
Yeah.
I want to keep this train rolling.
Do it.
So, who are you excited about as far as the future of horror?
The future of horror.
I personally, if I had a big horror movie, I'd give it to Wingard and Barrett in a heartbeat.
Yes.
But what about people like Spectre Vision? Who, I'm a little bit cooler on
That's
their
a great
stuff,
call.
but I admire that they're keeping horror going.
Well, they have there's less risk. They're making risky choices, but it's not at the expense of something, I feel. They don't have a lot of people to answer to. They're not going to lose. There's not a lot to lose by the choices that they're making.
I see.
They're putting out stuff like A Girl Walks Home Alone. Oh man, it's such a long title.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so Spectre Vision I really like. I want to see what Jennifer Kent does after the Babadook. Mm-hmm. I mean,
she'll get something cool. I mean,
someone's got to.
I didn't
grab
love
her.
the movie like most people did. I liked it, but she definitely showed some chops.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you see Housebound?
No.
Housebound is a New Zealand horror comedy that is absolutely fun and fantastic and bloody and all over the place. I love that director. I think his name is Gerard Johnston.
Okay.
He's great. Like you said, Wingard and Barrett, if they decide to not bounce all over the map genre-wise, you know, I think that, you know, because you can remember Barrett began with movies like Frankenfish and, you know, these other titles.
Frankenfish, that's right.
Frankenfish is actually great.
It's
really fun. You know, and then I'm trying to think of some other guys. You know, the thing is, we're starting to see everybody adapt to Jason Blum's model now.
Right.
So, you know,
I have a problem with. We'll talk a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, like, I'm always excited to see what Jason does, but I'm noticing that Fox now is starting to call on Alex Aja and his partner to start producing more low budget stuff, so we get the movies like The Pyramid in December.
Right.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, and they have a film that they shot in India, I think earlier this year or last year, that's coming out sometime next year. So with Aja in the producing seat, I would love to see what else they have, because listen, man, Maniac was a great remake. I like their sensibilities. Sure. Oh man.
What do you think of The Pyramid? Because I'm going to give a shameless plug to my friend Nick Simon, who wrote it.
Nick comes to our horror trivia nights.
Yeah, he's a great friend of mine.
I went in on that.
And he's a talented director as well.
Yeah.
So when I heard that he was doing this, and then we ran a story on it, and I know a lot of people called it found footage. But it's not.
It's not.
It's
no,
not
because
found
we've become
footage.
so accustomed to the fact that somebody shoots something handheld, everybody goes, "That's found footage." It's like,
Yeah.
no, they just decided
nobody
to shoot
found
handheld.
it, right?
No, but in the trailer there was a little bit of found footage,
right.
but it's for a news report that then leads the main characters to this pyramid, and it becomes, you know, the classic horror trope of being stuck in a dark place with something lurking in the shadows.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this. I like the lineage of the producer with and what's the director's name? I know he was the co-writer on
Gregory
everything.
Levasseur.
Yeah. There two of those names work. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for that, but
I mean, the only thing the Pyramid might have against it is that a lot of people watch that trailer and go, "That looks like As Above, So Below."
Yeah.
Right? You know, but but it's not. It's not. It's a completely different movie. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited about that.
So you guys are excited. I mean, you follow Blumhouse and what they're doing, and was it Blumhouse?
Blumhouse,
Yeah. Sorry about that. And but where can we start getting away from paranormal stuff? Are there other ideas out there?
Yeah.
I mean, what other kind of? I mean, they're remaking all the Universal monsters. Obviously, we'll probably get Friday the 13th Part 2 and Halloween Part next
3,
chapter
whatever.
5,000 whatever.
I think the next, you know, there's two movies in development. I don't know if they've either have started shooting or whatever, about tech issues. Like XOXO is sort of like a Fatal Attraction, but online.
Okay.
And then IT, which I think Pierce Brosnan is doing, right? And that's like an IT guy who's, I mean, they have access to all your shit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those kinds of ideas, I don't know that they're like straight horror as much as thriller, but I like that idea of like, you know, people feel vulnerable with, you know, the nude celebrity photo leaks, that kind of stuff.
The invasion of privacy is something that we're seeing leak into the subtext of a lot of horror movies today.
Yeah.
You know, the nature of you don't really know who you're going to bed with. You don't know who you're grabbing coffee with, you know?
Yeah.
A movie like Honeymoon, which came out earlier this year, Lee Janiak, I saw it at South by Southwest. Really, really fantastic small budget movie. And it's basically about a couple who go on a honeymoon and one of them gets abducted by aliens and then weird stuff starts to happen. But it's just a real subtle transformation. It's also body horror, which is, again, another kind of subgenre I'd love to see come back, is kind of like this Cronenberg-esque body horror thing.
Yeah.
But
His kid did a good job.
Yeah,
With
dude, he needs to do more stuff. Brandon Cronenberg, Antiviral was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Antiviral
was
some good
fantastic.
ideas.
Yeah.
Really, really great ideas. And talk about a movie that speaks to our time. And I think what's interesting is the themes that are running through Antiviral. I think they kind of bled into David Cronenberg's next film, Map of the Stars, from what I've been reading about. I'm like, oh, like father, like son, like son, like father. But speaking to the kind of techno horror thing, I saw a great movie at Fantasia in Montreal called Cybernatural.
Oh, yeah.
Cybernatural, I think it just got picked up by Universal and Blumhouse.
Oh, good.
And it's a film, and we've seen a few of these, not very successful, that are horror films told from a desktop. So basically, the movie begins with a girl booting up her computer,
Right.
and then she's like Skyping her boyfriend, and then you'll see different windows pop up, much like open windows from Nacho Vigilando. It starts to tell a story about a bunch of kids who had bullied this girl to a point where she committed suicide on the playground, and that video went viral, and then what she like, it's like one night with all these kids, and they all decide they're hanging out, and they have like a Skype session. But throughout the course of the night, strange things start to happen to each one of them in a supernatural sort of way. And exposition is dealt with her opening various windows, doing research, reading Wikipedia, all of this stuff. But it's done very, very well. It kind of
like
reminded
that.
me of like a little bit of like Blair Witch, Scream, and The Ring all mashed together.
Interesting.
Really, really good.
Was that Timur's company? Did he produce that?
Timur did that, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
that's what I thought. Yeah, I have a buddy who was involved. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've heard good things.
Listen, I mean, like, I had seen two other, we were telling a horror story from the desktop movies this year, and Cybernatural came along. I was like, really? Come on. But they did it the right way. And it's only simple. It's because, one, it's really efficient in its storytelling. The characters are really funny. I mean, like, the kids are able to get across a lot of emotion, a lot of fun, just via their little Skype, profiles. It's really good.
Well, that's good. So you said Blumhouse picked it up?
Yeah, I think
Universal
Blumhouse
was-
and Universal. Yeah.
Because I was noticing a trend here with these movies that you're talking about. It's like, oh, I saw it at this film festival. Oh, I saw it at this film festival. These great horror movies that the general public does not have access to these film festivals, and I'm like, it almost made me sad as a horror fan to go, oh, are we going to get those? Because that's what we're missing. I mean, we're going to get all these other movies based on an IP before we get an original.
That's true.
Something which I'm all for. I mean, I tried to make a original horror movie. I failed miserably, but that was my goal at the time, and as the lover of the genre, I would love to see more of these, and I guess that's the festival circuit.
And that's up to us, that's
Right.
up to Jeff, it's up to me, it's up to you. I mean, like, to get the word out and to go to the festival scene and like keep reminding our readers, hey, these are films that you got to pay attention to. I mean, we're coming up in the American film market. Granted, a lot of those films will probably never see the light of day. However, the ones that will,
That's a good thing.
we do have to tell them. And that's why whenever I do festival coverage, I kind of write one item. I'm like, listen, this is why you should be paying attention. Put these films that we're going to be talking about on your radar.
Yeah.
Because in the months to come, we're going to be finding out what distributor picks them up and so on and so on. And there's a lot of stuff that I saw on the festival circuit. It Follows would be probably number one on my list of this year if it didn't come out. And like, if when it comes out, it'll come out.
I mean,
next year.
I'm a big Midnight Madness kind of guy when I
Yeah.
go to the festivals.
Yeah.
I am there to schmooze and that kind of thing, but I am typically at a midnight movie. I am not out at the parties drinking. I don't really drink. So the festival scene is definitely where I get, discover most of the cool horror movies I see each year, and then the festivals that I'm not going to, those are the ones that are turning me on to things like South by, Fantastic Fest, whatever.
Yeah.
There was
Never been.
There was one that I saw at Fantastic Fest, and we could talk about these filmmakers as being kind of part of the future of horror in my mind. A great film called Spring. By
with
Justin
Lou
Benson.
Pucci.
Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead directed it, and they did a film last year called Resolution, which I think you could still see on
And they're
Netflix.
in VHS Viral, right?
They did the last segment of VHS Viral, and I
Okay.
don't think it was one of their strongest pieces.
I agree.
Okay.
Spring was fantastic. It's a great, it is like a kind of a before sunset meets Lovecraft. Pucci plays a guy who just gets out of the U.S. He needs like a European vacation. He lands in this little Italian village by the seaside, meets a girl, and then the girl's got a secret. And right from the get-go, they don't they fill the audience in right away, but not him. But she starts to go through these really random transformations that she needs to subside by injecting herself with something. But each time her transformation, you don't know if she's a vampire or a werewolf or a tentacle beast or what. But it's really well done. A little long, but really, really well done.
How's Pucci?
He's fantastic.
I feel like he's such an underrated actor. that
Dude,
guy.
I rewatched the Evil Dead remake the other day. He's great. He is a great actor. Also, he looks like he's 50 in Evil Dead, and in Spring he looks like he's like 19.
Funny.
But
funny.
he's great.
I like the Evil Dead remake. Did you like it?
Yes.
Okay,
I
good.
love the Evil Dead remake.
I-
guys
A
are-
lot of
I
people-
liked it.
You guys are shitting me right now.
I'm sorry,
Get the
man.
hell outta
He
here.
gave me everything I wanted.
Yeah.
Wait, I wanted to talk about VHS Viral because I just watched it. I liked it.
Did you?
I'm dying to see
liked
it.
the magician one.
I think the magician,
Greg Bishop's, right?
Yeah, Greg Bishop's. Give him a feature version of that. Give him a chance to do something, flesh out that story, because it's such a great concept. A magician that gets a cloak that gives him powers, but every once in a while he needs to feed the cloak.
Right.
That's a great idea.
Oh,
and
boy.
I felt like the VHS.
It was cool.
It's really neat, but I felt like the story. Sometimes you watch a feature film and you're like, this could have been like easily like a Tales from the Crypt episode. It needed to be shorter. This one I actually felt it needed to be longer so you could flesh out that story. I like the second one.
I like Nachos a lot. Yeah.
Nachos is great. It's really twisted.
The wraparound I thought was okay. I think did Yamato just do an interview with that person, or was it THR? The people who did the wraparound. I read something, and I liked they had said like how the wraparounds in the previous movie slow them down, and this one they wanted to speed it up.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool idea. There was some cool moments when the feet are dragging on that, like that shit was sick. But
You guys are making me jealous.
Sorry.
You've seen all these things, and I'm sitting there going, and then seriously,
I'm geeking out here.
well, but this is
Ryan
on
Turek.
tape, so I can listen back and get all these things. I didn't have to
go
take
back and
notes.
watch these.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to talk VHS viral.
I like to
Absolutely.
know. Nacho segment was great. I just felt with the wraparound with VHS viral, the concept of people literally dying to get a video so they can go viral is a neat idea. But I think it just kind of, in their hurry, nature, I think that it just kind of lost focus.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
And then, in the last one, the last segment, I was just kind of like, okay, cool.
What's the best like unreleased horror movie that's lurking out there?
Yeah.
Are there any?
You know what? I think everybody's got like dibs on stuff. Somebody just picked something up. What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, that
Film I saw at the Stanley Film Festival wasn't picked up for the longest time, and then finally somebody snatched it up.
Yeah.
God, there was a movie just the other day that I was like, we really need to get this for our Orchard deal, Shock Till You Drop. And somebody grabbed it. Oh, it's going to come to me. I was so mad when it got picked up, and I was like, I really wanted that one.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So wait, do you guys have a deal with the Orchard?
So basically, shocktillyoudrop.com, we brokered a deal last year with the Orchard to, I'm basically acting as kind of like an acquisitions consultant. I don't really have a title. I just kind of help them find horror films, and then if I can convince them, they'll pick it up, and then we'll release it. And then basically shocktillyoudrop.com acts as a marketing partner. So we'll help promote, I'll do my thing.
Do you guys have a logo on the movie or anything like that?
Occasionally depends.
Okay.
Yeah, occasionally it depends on what movie it is and how much was shelled out and stuff like that. But we started this last year with a film called Solo, which is on VOD. It was a little Canadian thriller. Missionary by Anthony DeBlasi, who did Clive Barker's Dread. It was one of the first films that I brought to them really, really early on, and that they really, really liked. And it comes out today on Halloween in select theaters and on VOD. And then we put out a couple weeks ago The Canal. Did you see The Canal?
No,
yet?
I didn't.
I got to get you a link for that. The Canal is a movie by Ivan Kavanaugh, and it debuted at Tribeca. And they sent me a link one night and said, please watch this. I was like, it's 1:00 in the morning. And they're like, watch it. Everybody on the East Coast, just check this out. And tomorrow morning is going to be a bidding war. So I watched it, and I was up to the crack of dawn. I mean, like, this movie terrified me. I thought it was really, really
interesting.
great. Really great.
The
ending.
Those are big words coming from you.
No, the ending really rattled me, and it was great. I loved it.
God, we haven't had a good horror movie like that in a long time, where at the end just rattles
Oh,
you.
man.
Wait. What was that one? Delivery? Did you see that last year?
No,
that
the
Delivery
found
Man?
footage.
No.
Because that end rattled me. I'm kidding.
Mark was left rattled. The end of this movie, Delivery, which is just an okay movie, that movie was crazy.
Really?
That ending, yeah.
Huh.
Trying to think what else. I don't know.
What's interesting is we're seeing, I mean, like, I don't have a problem with found footage. And, Delivery I kind of stayed away from because it's that. But what's interesting is, like, found footage has kind of lurched into a formula that filmmakers are adhering to because it's cheap and it's easy, and they feel like if they've got an ending that will blow someone's socks off, then they don't have to worry about the rest of the other movie. They don't need to worry about the lead up. They'll tell you some backstory.
Yeah.
They'll tell you some teases, and we need someone to like do a found footage movie that upsets the balance of that structure and that formula to reassure people that found footage is okay as a storytelling storytelling narrative and thing.
I think it can really work if done well, and I think it is a subgenre of horror,
which is here to stay.
And it is here to stay, unfortunately. And I know people bemoan it a lot, but like I said, if it's done right creatively, then you gotta get a good movie. So
JT, can I get 5 more minutes with Ryan? I know we're
5 more
pressed.
minutes. You asked about a great unreleased movie.
Yeah.
How about Green Inferno?
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I want to see that. Why did that get pulled?
A lot of
That's
it's
worldview
all-
stuff.
Yeah, financial nonsense.
Yeah.
and businessy stuff.
It will come out. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not one of these movies. It's going to be like Poughkeepsie tapes.
Yeah,
that just sits, or Mandy Lane or something.
Poughkeepsie tapes. I feel so bad for because literally earlier this year, like. It wasn't it might have been MGM. MGM put it on VOD for like 24 hours.
Right.
Okay.
We told everybody,
Yeah.
and then they pulled it.
Why?
Because they didn't mean to put it up there.
Oh, God.
I ran into the filmmakers during As Above, So Below, and they're like, "Thank you, Ryan, for giving us the heads up." But then we called them, and they're like, "Oh no, that was a mistake. We're gonna put it out sometime later on this year." Still hasn't come out yet.
Still, yeah.
You know?
That's
gonna
the
say,
killer
I was
that's
wondering-
filming, right? He's filming all
It's
his kills.
a killer. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was good.
My buddy was the killer.
No
Really?
way.
Yeah.
Then he killed one of my friends. That's
and,
awesome.
and I know he must have been. I don't know if he knows it came out, and then he's like, "Oh damn, where's my residual?"
I got killed earlier this week, real quick.
Yeah,
quick,
what was that?
Quick plug for this thing. It was this thing, Killcast, that someone sent me, and I think that the horror blogs had been hyping up for a little while. And they were like, "Do you want to cover it?" And I was like, I don't know if it's for the rap, but can I be involved? Right. And they were like, "Yeah, sure, come on down. We'd love to kill you." So yeah, I went down there. I improvised for like 10 or 15 minutes in a room, like, "Oh, I'm investigating the fake serial killer." And then the guy came in and used a samurai sword on me. They put fake blood on me, and that was
Samurai
it.
sword. You got it bad.
It was fun.
Was that picture where you're like, "Oh, I'm meeting a source," and it was
Yes,
like,
exactly.
I had a lot of tweets come back at me going, "Oh, you need a new co-host, Riley."
Right.
I
was dead for 12 hours there.
Jeff's sneaky. He'll make it out alive, and horror movies have proven that they always come back. So there you go.
Ryan, what's been like the most disappointing to you in terms of potential? Where you're like, this could be great, and then it fell flat.
Great question.
Oh man, you know what? I gotta like throw this at, and I'm so sorry, Derrickson. I love you, man, but Deliver Us from Evil.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to something because Derrickson, you know, he started off with Exorcism of Emily Rose,
which was good,
which was very good. Both in drama and in horror.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was both sides of the coin.
Jen Carpenter, man.
Yeah, she was fantastic, and then he did Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah.
Sinister, I thought was really unnerving and really creepy. And then here we have Deliver Us from Evil, which is based on true events. A really great setup, you know.
Great cast.
A cop who's kind of wrapped up in this exorcism thing.
Yeah.
But talk about a movie that was like really unfocused, a little bit silly at times.
Yeah.
It looked great, but it was really disappointing, especially coming from
I'm
him
with
after
you on
Sinister.
that.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you too. The previews for that, I was so excited.
Yeah.
And then it just was like, oh, that's it?
You know, I mean, and my other disappointment also was more studio fare, but Annabelle.
Mm-hmm.
Annabelle's a super disappointing movie, man. I mean, like, you've got that doll, you've got a great setup for telling a prequel story set in 70s or 60s or 70s, whatever, and then it's just a derivative, you know, kind of mediocre movie. Like, they just kind of blew it. There's 2 great inspired moments in that movie, but the rest of it's like,
That's what squeaked it by for me in a more
Those
of
2
a
moments.
positive review was those some of those unnerving moments that I don't know if can we spoil it now? I mean, I won't spoil it, but there's some very good, moody, scary scenes where you're like, okay, but then
I mean, listen, when you start off with The Conjuring, which is terrific, mature Hollywood horror.
Love that movie.
You know, you expect the watermark's been set. You got to hit that, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got to hit it. But I have high hopes for Conjuring 2 now that James is back.
Yeah,
and,
me
you know,
too.
You're gonna have everybody else in it.
And what real quickly, I think this will be our last question because I know we got to go.
Yeah.
If we could remake anything, any horror movie, what would it be?
Ooh, good one.
I
want to jump in there too. Yeah.
I would, if I can remake anything, I would love to have my fun with a movie called The Car.
Okay.
The Car is one of my favorite movies with James Brolin.
Yeah.
And it's basically about a car driven by the devil, which you never see, terrorizing a small western town. And Brolin plays he plays a sheriff. I actually got a commitment he'll never remember this. Back in 2007, I was doing Grindhouse Press, and I was talking to Josh Brolin, and we were talking about horror. And I said, you know what, man, you'd be great to play like your dad's role in a remake of The Car. He's like, I'll do that. I'd love to do that. And I was like, good, I'm remembering this. I'm telling everybody from here on out.
Yeah.
But I think it would be kind of...
After Old Boy, no more remakes for Josh Brolin. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
No,
I
he's
think
Thanos now. He's gone.
I think if you got a really cool like muscle car, or a really cool car, and just like put a cool new spin on it, it
Yeah.
could be like Fast and Furious meets The Conjuring, man.
Yeah.
What about you, Mark?
I'm going easy on this one, and it's just because I have so much fun with the series. I would do a Friday the 13th remake. Mm-hmm. I know it's already been remade or rebooted or reimagined or whatever, but I would want to write it. I would want to write it. I would then find a fantastic director because my script would be brilliant.
Who's your
And they
director?
would be-
Pick it right now.
I would pick my buddy Nick Simon. To be honest with you,
Wow.
yeah. Check out his movie. Removal. It is it's like very Hitchcockian in it, and it's about a guy, a removal service that comes in to have to remove the blood from a murder.
I like
it's
that
really
stuff.
cool.
Oh, wait a minute. That's on. Is that on Netflix or iTunes? right
It
now
must
or
be on
something?
Netflix.
By the way, the removal guy in John Wick, that's T-Bird
there you go.
from The Crow.
Yeah.
Oh, I just want to throw one more title out there
Yep.
that I've always wanted to do: Day of the Animals. I've always wanted to remake Day of the Animals because I think today we need more eco horror movies. We're not getting enough of that, and it's a fantastic movie that finds Leslie Nielsen battling a bear.
And I
There you go.
I know, and I get two answers because it's my question.
Yes.
I love killer kid movies,
Yeah.
which means why not go back to the original and do The Bad Seed?
Oh yeah.
And then the other one, bring back Dr. Phibes.
Yes,
Bring back Dr. Phibes, Hollywood.
Set in the world
Guys,
of Beverly Hills plastic surgery.
however you want to do it.
That's a great idea.
I would love that.
Guys, I think we got to wrap this up.
We do have to wrap this up.
Comment
Ryan,
and
yeah,
exactly.
let's do the plugs.
Yeah.
Ryan, where
you
can they find you?
on Twitter at _Ryan Turek or at STYD News, and then you can find me on shocktillyouDrop.com.
Great. And Jeff, where they can find you?
At the Insnider on Twitter and therap.com.
Yes, and you can find me at Reilly Around and at schmoesknow.com. Guys, thank you so much. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Meet the Movie Press. Resubscribe. We had some issues. We're telling everybody, so please do that. And like us on the Facebook page. Share with your friends this wonderful show. And don't forget, guys, for the Schmoes Know crew, we are at Kamikaze tomorrow at 10 a.m., and we're doing a live podcast there. So if you guys are in LA and want to come to a convention and see the Schmoes, come on out.
Guys, be safe tonight. Happy Halloween. Buckle up.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
From producers Christian Harloff, Mark Ellis, and the entire Schmoes Know Network crew, we would like to thank you for listening to Meet the Movie Press. Special thanks to Kevin Undergaro and Maria Menounos, the author of Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness, in stores now. To watch or listen to other Schmoes Know Network episodes, get movie news, or join the conversation, be sure to visit schmoesknow.com. I'm the Pit Boss, and this has been a presentation of Schmoes Know.